Alrighty, hello everyone, this is Nick with the Desolate Star game from xero-technologies.net LLC. What you see there is a test level. The last video that I uploaded, I was talking about what to do with the terminals. I haven't really gotten a lot of feedback on solutions or options or what you guys want to see as gamers, so figured I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm actually going to try to build a single canvas multi-option solution for terminals. So what you see there, I'll go ahead and hit play in the game. It doesn't really do anything yet. I haven't gone very far because I got the idea this morning when I woke up about trying to do this, because I've never done this really before, of doing a video while I develop something. I highly doubt that anybody's going to find it necessarily useful. Somebody might find it interesting. It's also going to be kind of fun for developer video log, I suppose. But anyway, so on paper, what I've got so far for the terminals is that there's going to be an information terminal, a journal terminal, and a control terminal. The control terminal, as you can see, there's several bright lights in this particular scene. The control terminal is going to do things like turn those lights off, enable or disable gravity, just general control-y things. Kind of drawing a blank. I don't have my paper notes here with me right now. The journal terminal is going to be basically journal entries from other NPCs within the game, characters that were there before the player arrived, notes on what they've experienced, what they see, what they did, just kind of a general recording of their interaction with the Desolate Star. The info terminal is going to be essentially hints on what the player needs to do. Pretty subtle hints, I think, in some cases. Like, say, if the power is fluctuating and you're at the terminal of the head engineer in engineering, and he's been talking about the power fluctuations and his theories on how he could replace this, that, or the other thing, or repair the problem. The player will essentially know that they need to try to do that same thing to restore power to that section of the base or whatever. So anyway, the idea is instead of doing, say, 3 canvases, one for each terminal, or one for each style of terminal, I should say. There's only one terminal asset, prop, prefab, I guess. So I don't want to do one canvas per terminal. I want to do one canvas overall and make it super easy to manage and control as far as the development side goes. So what you see over here, the top above the terminals, those are just buttons. The control terminal is the only one I have a script for currently. I'll show you what it does. That's it. Just turns the lights off and on. So that's all I want it to do right now. That's all I want that button to do, is just turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on. Okay? That was just a test to see, if my theory was right, if it was reasonably easy to code, and it is. So I'm going to go through that real quick on how I did that, and then we'll continue with developing the rest of the terminal system, I guess is what we're going to call this. So go back over to this monitor. Alright. And I apologize for all the different sound effects. It's my phone and everything else that's going to be beeping while we do this. So, alright. So, let's see what we got here. It's all my different scripts. I thought control button, there it is. Not that one, not that one. Wait. That one. There we go. Okay. So I have a general object. It's an empty game object out in space. This is 000. This has my light controller script on it, which I'm probably going to change to like a terminal controller script later on. So there's going to be one canvas, which is right here. We'll actually rename this terminal canvas. You just hit F2 and it'll edit the text so you can rename things. Just a shortcut key for those that like to use shortcut keys. So all this script is, I'll go ahead and start it loading and talk about it. It's just an array of objects, and then there's a script that just loops through the array, grabs all the light components and turns them off. So we'll go through the script right here real quick, and hopefully you guys can see that. So here's our array of game objects, the lights. Oh, shut up. Stupid mono develop. Alright, so here's our array, game object, and this is the symbol for array. It's a brackets, straight brackets. We're just calling it lights. This is the function that the button will actually call when you click it. For each light game object in the array called lights, get the component, which is the light component. Is it enabled, or the enabling checkbox, and then switch it to whatever it isn't. That's what the exclamation mark here is. It basically means whatever this is, let's say it's checked, then set it to unchecked. If this is unchecked, then this will set it to checked. So basically this whole line is take the original value and set it to its opposite. That's it. Super, super, super easy. And arrays are fast. They're extremely, extremely fast, even with having to get the component and then the enable object on that component. It's still very, very fast. I currently only have three lights in the scene. As you can see here, here, and here. There's only 3. I tested it with 20 when I first built this, and there's no delay. I'll kind of show you again what it looks like in the game. That's it. Just off, on, off, on. Super, super easy, right? No big deal. All right. So we're going to go back over to, let me switch monitors. And ignore all this. This is from the entirety of the project. It's not just from from one script or another. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and kill that. So we know that our light controller script works just fine. So that's our baseline. We know that this works. That a button can grab objects and switch their state. This is nothing advanced by any means. I'm not going to be doing anything crazy in this. I'm not going to be reinventing the wheel. I'm just going to be super, super simple. So first of all, we need to create the canvas that is actually going to show what, you know, when they click on the terminal for information, like this far left terminal right here, when they click on the terminal for that, it's going to bring up the informational canvas with different items in it. So essentially, I would like it to look like Fallout 4, the way that they did that. So I'm actually going to bring up, actually, hang on just one second here. There you go. All right. Fallout 4 terminal. I'll look at some pictures. That way we can get an idea of what we're looking for. So this is the hacking mini game. I don't know how many of you guys have played Fallout 4 yet, but that's essentially, let me see if I can center this real quick. This is essentially what the hacking mini game looks like on the terminal. You see the physical image of the terminal here, and it's got some, you know, Robco Industries, blah, 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 and then the whole hacking thing goes on, and it selects different terms when you highlight over it as a button. We could do this basically by creating random buttons here and there, and creating all these objects and the hexadecimal code here. Let's see. Let me see if I can find one that isn't the hacking game. Here's one. So this is kind of what I was thinking for the general informational terminal. It's not necessarily useful other than just this is what's going on, right? So it's going to have like we have our, across the top here we have our welcome to Robco Industries term link. So we have our little welcome message here on this informational terminal. And then you have this huge body of text right here in the inside of this terminal image, right? So that's all it is. When you break it down, that's all it is. And you've got a little animation down here. You can't see it. This is a still image, obviously. So down here, there's actually a bracket, and then there's a cursor, a flashing cursor. So we can duplicate that pretty easily. So we're going to try this first. and that's probably where we're going to stop for the video because it may get a little bit long. I have already lost track of how long I'm recording. 10 minutes and 8 seconds. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. So I got about 20 minutes, and then I'll stop, and hopefully that'll be the end point for this particular video. So first of all, we've got our canvas already built. This is our general universal canvas. We've got our terminal group, which is our empty game object, which covers all 3 of these terminals, which we're actually going to drag properly in the group so we can move it back and forth. What did it do? Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's our buttons. Right? Cool. And we'll go back down to our control terminals. Actually, we're going to start with the information terminal, right? Yeah. Alright, so all this plane and the walls and everything else, that's just the this wall background here. So we can minimize that. We'll just say wall group objects. Unimportant. Okay. Information terminal. Whoops, that's the button, not the terminal. So we have a couple of options. We could do a world space canvas on this monitor right here. But so I'll switch to my other monitor. You can see the info terminal button is what we really need right now, and it's already above the terminal itself physically on the canvas. So that's what we're going to use. So all we need to really do is create our canvas objects, and we're going to say, let's see. Let me think of a good way to do this. All right, so we're going to create another empty game object. You can also do for empty game object, you can do Control-Shift-N if you like hotkeys, and then just make sure it's set in the right world space where you want it. But we're going to use this one right here. And we're going to make sure it's in world space 000, and it is. So we're going to put it back under the canvas. Actually, yeah, we'll do it there. Okay. So we're going to call this info terminal group. Oh, reminder, always save. Save often, save frequently, saves lives. Alright, so we don't really care where this is, essentially. So we're going to put it back in 000, which is going to be canvas relationship, not world relationship, right? So it's going to be smack in the middle of our canvas. And since there's nothing in there, I'll kind of show, we'll just do a cube. Wait, where did that not work? Oh, I know. Hang on, sorry. I need a UI object to make more sense. Bam. I'll switch over to my other monitor so you can kind of see the difference there. So that's 000 where that white square is in the middle. That's 000 canvas center. Okay, so that's dead center. That's pretty much where we want our empty game object to be. All our empty game object is right now is just a grouping holder for what we're going to add in the canvas for the info terminal. So actually, let's go ahead and bring that image back up that we found. Fallout 4 terminal. Which one was it? This one? Yeah. All right, so we're going to go by this image. So we have our reference image right here, okay? And I'll move this over to my middle monitor. It should work just fine. Alright, so we've got a reference image. Sorry, I was just looking over it one more time to make sure I understood what I'm going to be doing here. Alright, so we got our title, wall of text, and then our cursor. That's what we essentially want to do. And then we can always go back later and add background image to make it look like you're actually looking at a terminal if we wanted to. Doesn't really matter. So let's get started. We'll do UI, and we'll do image, and let's go ahead and look at this from the front, proper front. Okay, there we go. Alright, so hit R key. The R on your keyboard will give you the squares, and we're just going to do, actually if we hold down shift it'll keep a perfect square, which we can kind of use to start, get a good idea what we want to do here. And this is just going to be our background. So I'll go ahead and rename this BKG for background. And we're going to change that god-awful bright white color Let's do, so it's black on the reference image, so let's just kind of stick with that. We'll just stick with black. And then we're going to do green text, and then that'll be a nice good contrast so the player can see it very, very easily. So here's our background, and we essentially want all of the text to render on top of the background image. Now let me show you something. UI text. So we're going to go ahead and change our text color to 0 red, 255 green, which is the max, and 0 blue. That's pure green. Okay. There's also the hex color if you like going by hex. Some people do. When I was doing web design, it was far easier to go by hex than it was anything else. So we're going to do best fit, and we're going to say the maximum of 100. Okay. And what we're going to do, we're going to move this. This is going to be our, remember, this is our title text almost. So we're going to say, let's say xero-technologies.net LLC terminal version 1.0. Good enough. Okay. All right, so we're going to click over here. We'll see how much room we've got. We've got quite a bit there. So I usually scale the boxes down to fit because if you ever want to put something else in the scene, sometimes you get layer overlap or whatever you want to call it, where you can't click through things and you have to go through and set certain things where you can click through it, and it's annoying. So I usually just stick with this, set it the way that I want. We're going to make this a little bit bigger though. Actually, let's do a half screen right there. And you see that blue line? I don't know if you can see it. Blue line right there is actually a snap for the sizing, which is super helpful. I'm going to bring this up a little bit, and there we go. All right. So there's our title screen. Now, here's what I was going to show you. The order of elements in a UI is very, very important. So we're going to say this is our title text. Now, if you put this under the background, it renders just fine. Put it above it. Now, what happened to it? Think about layers from top down. So it's actually bottom up in Unity, but even though you're reading it normally top down, you're actually going to be viewing it from the bottom up. So this is the top, this is the bottom. Not sure if anybody understood that. But anyway, think of it backwards from Photoshop for those that are graphical designers. So basically, make sure that your order of elements is correct. If you want something to guaranteed be on top, it needs to go down in the order on your hierarchy. Okay? So we've got that. And we're going to add another text element. And change it to... let's see. Alright. So 0, 0, 0, 255, 0, pure green. And we're going to do, let's say right about there. And we want it to go not full screen, because most monitors don't do that. But we do want about, yeah, yay. Okay. We're going to go with best fit, size 100. And let's see, Arial font's good, but I think we have something in here that I downloaded for free eons ago. Quadrangle. Yes. There we go. Let's go ahead and change this other one also. Fonts for the win. Okay, so see what happens here where the text is getting all screwed up? So that is a sizing problem. You just click best fit and unfit, and it redoes it. I don't know why the font gets all screwed up like that. I don't know if it's necessarily this font or not. Let's switch it back to Arial and see what happens. Or something else. Let's take a look. See what we can find here. That's pretty good. Let's try that one. See if the font gets all screwed up or if it's just the graphical design. It sure is the fonts. Okay. Let's go with Arial and then we'll figure that out another time. There you go. See, Arial doesn't do it. I guess it's true font versus vector fonts. But anyway, alright. So we've got our... oh, no, look, it's doing it there too. Okay. Wall O text. Let's try turning off best fit and see what happens. Font size 25. Let's try 50. Okay. And then we'll try turning off best fit here. It may be trying to do some weird resizing shit or something. I don't know. So 50 looks good there. Actually, no, 40. There we go. We're getting there. 47, 48, 47. Perfect. All right, so we've got our wall of text. All right, let's make up some text. We'll just copy the image here. I think I figured out the generator, ventilation, issues, stopping ready. All right. Not gonna type out the whole thing, I promise. Alright, so we're going to stop there. So all that text is from our Fallout 4 terminal image. It's straight from Fallout 4. I do not have Bethesda's permission. Bethesda, if you happen to see this and you don't like it, just tell me and I'll take it down. Or I'll edit, I'll edit this part of the video and take that out. But anyway, so that's pretty much all of our text right there. So you can kind of see how we're looking pretty good. We're going to space this down just a little bit, and I apologize, I'm going to have to speed up just a little bit here. So the last thing we need to do is our blinking cursor and our carriage line. So we're going to do something really super simple for it. We're going to do green, because that's our terminal font color. We're going to do that. We're going to do 50. And okay. I'm going to take this all the way down here. Line it up. Okay. So we've got that. There. Super, super easy, right? And then we'll call this cursor line thing. I don't know if it'll let me do that or not. Yes, it will. Okay. Alright, so we've got our title text, which is up there at the top. The wall O text, which is going to be the text in the terminal. And then we've got our cursor line right there. Alright, last thing is going to be our blinking cursor. So we're going to do something, let's see, how can we do this? The easiest way, probably the lightest way on resources, would be do a text image. We'll do 50 here. And change our font color. Now, why am I not doing the carriage line and the cursor in the same thing? You will see here in just a moment. I want the cursor to blink, not the entire line object. So we're going to take this down here. And essentially we're just going to zoom in here and we're just going to make it match size-wise to that. So we don't want it right up against it. Actually, it looks pretty good. Let's try moving it just a hair off and we'll get it. See if we can do 45. Ka-chink. There we go. And we'll bring this in. Let's do 30. 30. Bam. Alright, so deselect. We're going to zoom out. Oops. Let's center on the wall of text here. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. Let me zoom in real quick. That looks pretty much the way that we want. So the easiest thing we can do first is make our cursor blink. So all we're essentially going to do... Actually, let me click away so you can actually... Well, I can't. Alright, let me switch to left monitor. And essentially what you're going to want it to do is turn the text off and back on. Just repeatedly. That's it. Okay? Super, super, super simple. So we're going to do that real quick. And we're going to come down to scripts, create new script. All I do is in C#. If you JavaScript, that's fine. I'll rib you about it later. Cursor, blink. Alright, loady. Alright, first thing we need to do, and everybody does their own little style here. First thing we need to do is actually bring in the .ui, because we're going to do public text cursor. Okay. Go back over to Unity, center in on the cursor, grab our cursor script, drag it onto the element. Right there. See, there's our cursor right there, right? So we can actually do this. Let's do this. Let's do private cursor, okay? And let's say, actually, you know what? We don't even need to do that. Let's save some memories. Alright, so we're going to do, we basically need a timer for blink speed, and let me think for a second. We need the timer for the blink speed, and that's pretty much it. So we'll do a public float cursor blink speed, and the style of variable design is called camel case, usually lowercase first, and every word after that is uppercase. For those of you that don't know, it's good standard practice. And we're going to say we need a timer, I guess. Privateer float timer. We'll call it counter because we need it to count up. Alright, so we're going to actually do this on fixed update. You can do it on update or fixed update. It doesn't really matter. So let's see. What we essentially need it to do is the counter will increase by time.delta time when it gets up to the cursor blink speed, which will be probably like 0.25 or 0.3, so it won't be very long. It'll switch the text component off or on, basically like what we did with the lights, right? Pretty simple. So we're going to say counter plus equals time.delta time. Okay. All of this plus equals is basically the same thing as counter equals counter plus time dot delta time. These two lines are exactly the same. This line is just shorter. It's a little bit easier to code. It's considered clean code by some. I prefer this just because it's easier to read. So this is our counter. And we'll say, go ahead and build our if statement because we know we're going to need one. If counter is greater than or equal to our cursor blink speed. Now we're going to do greater than or equal to because if the frame rate is odd and your timer is clicking away, right, it may not land on exactly 0.3. It may land on 0.31 or 0.32. That is considered different. That is not equal. So if it goes above or it lands on whatever our cursor blink speed is, then we do our whatever we need to do. Okay? So we want to give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room because it may lag, it may have some frame rate problems or whatever. Processor problems. Greater than or equal to is just safer. So we're going to say this.gameObject.getComponent text dot enabled equals not that. Okay, so this is essentially the same thing as the lights. Whatever our text element is, whatever if it's checked or not, it's going to do the opposite in this function. Okay, it's pretty simple. So we're going to go back over to Unity. And let's see, we're waiting for it to compile. Compile. Alright, so here's our blink speed. Let's try 0.3. Okay. And we'll clear all this, no errors. Okay. And we'll switch over to left monitor. Whoops, there we go. We'll test it, see what happens. Look at that, beautiful. Alright, so while the game is running, you can make changes in the editor. I'll switch back over to my right monitor. You can make changes in the editor. So we're going to try 1 second. That's still blinking hella fast, isn't it? Okay. So what I was going to say, I'll finish my thought first. You can make changes in the editor, but when you stop it, see how I changed it to 1? Now I changed back to 0.3. Don't forget that. Alright, so we'll go back over here. Oh, I know what I did wrong. This isn't going to work either. Alright, so we're going to go back over to our code. So here's the problem. What I didn't do was reset my counter back to 0. Okay? And here's why. Here's why that's a problem. So think logically. Our counter is constantly adding time.delta time. So let's say for lack of time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, so on. It gets up to whatever our cursor blink speed is. Let's say it's 3. So it goes 1, 2, 3. And then it does this. It will fire this code right here to switch the text component on or off But if I didn't reset my counter back to 0, it would stay at whatever that value is and continuously fire this as a true statement. So it never resets the counter to 0, and essentially it's just off on, off on, off on, off on all day long. So that's why that did not work. So we'll go back over to left monitor, hit play. And we have it on 1 second now, so let's try 0.5. Pretty good. We're getting there. 0.3. Pretty good right there. Not that hard, right? Pretty easy. Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and stop that. Go back over to Unity Editor. Change this to 0.3 permanently. And save our project because we haven't done that in a minute. Now, all of this group, let me see. Actually, let's do this. What is it? Canvas group. Okay, we're going to need this for two reasons, actually. The interactable and blocks raycast, and we also need it for the alpha. The alpha is what makes it show up and hide. Show up and hide. So that's what we need on our button. Then we also need it to be interactable and block raycasts. Okay, so we actually need to add one other thing here. So in the Fallout 4 image, I'll bring that over on this monitor. You have here at the very bottom, tab goes back, R loads a holotape. The holotapes in Fallout 4 are for like mini games and audio tracks from different characters in the game, so on and so forth. So that's like a separate mini game in a mini game, right? Pretty cool. So we don't really necessarily have a button that takes us out of our terminal, which is kind of bad. So we actually need to do that. Easiest way to do it is to build either a button or a text button. So we're going to do a text button because they're just a little bit lighter on resources, not by much. And we're going to say, we're going to call this close button. And we will move this. Actually, let's do this. Whoop, go over there. All right, so we're going to resize this to essentially match our cursor and carriage line button. And we're going to say close terminal. And, oops, do that. Make our font size, or font color rather. We're going to leave it on Arial. Let's do this, actually. Let's do center, center. And we're going to make this a little bit look differently so it catches the player's eye that they know this is something different, right? So we're actually going to zoom back out. Take our close button and we're going to move it all the way on the other side. Actually, let's put it up here. Makes a little more sense up there. But we do need to increase the size. We'll do 40. And I'll just widen it. So let's take a look at it on our left monitor here and see how it looks in the grand scheme of things. And there we go. Actually, let's shorten this down. Closed terminal seems a little bit too much, so we'll do that. Looks a little bit less chaotic, and you can even do some Windows jargon, you know, if you're a Windows monkey like I am. We can do capital X, just like that. So that's pretty low profile. I like that, actually. All right. Now we're just going to space it and arrange it. I'll switch monitors. And I'm running out of time, so I'll try to get through this pretty quickly. So essentially what this close button is going to do is actually hide this group here, this alpha group, canvas group, right? So this is going to be pretty easy. We're going to go to script, create script. We're going to call it close info terminal. Okay, and then we'll throw it up on our button. Actually, no, we don't want to do that. So we actually need to do something a little bit different. So we'll say button, what is it, button, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I just need to remember which components we need. So we need a button script, and then we've got the image script. So we're just going to do this. We're going to go copy component, and we're going to put it on our close button. Paste component is new. I'm going to take this button and say goodbye. All right. So this is all we really need right here is the, not that. We need this. So what we're going to do, we actually have our terminal controller here. We need to drag this script up onto our terminal controller. Right there. So then now you have this over here. So you go back over to whatever object you're creating as your button. Click add, drag your terminal controller or whatever, wherever your script is. And now we need to go in here. And I hate that it does that. I just don't like the way that it looks. .ui. Alright, so this is going to be our public terminal close function. Okay, so it's going to be public void close terminal. Okay, so then it's going to say we need to do public variable for our canvas group, and we'll say info terminal group. Oops. And we're going to say this dot get component. What is it? Canvas. I think it's canvas group dot alpha equals 0. Okay. All right. So that's all that this button needs to do is just close the terminal. So we can just set it to 0, which is not visual. It's turned off. It's 100% transparent. But remember, we also need to close, or I'm sorry, we need to turn off the interactable and blocks raycasts when the info terminal canvas is off. Reason for that being is because we have other buttons in the scene. We don't need those visible, or we need those interactable when this is on, and when this is on, it will block raycasts to other buttons, so we're not, you know, clicking through it. So it's pretty easy to do. So you just take all of this. Come here. Let's see. Dot interactable equals false. And then dot block raycast equals false also. That turns everything off. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to copy this. And I'm just opening, I'll just show you what I've got. I'm just dumping it in Notepad. I'm just using Notepad right now as a notepad. Sorry, that was terrible. Okay, so, alright. Got our terminal controller. We've got our info terminal group, which we need to drag over here. Come on, Unity, catch up. Alright, and we'll go back over to code. So that public variable, the info terminal group, is what our function is going to be closing. So we need to edit our button, our close button. And so we've already dragged the terminal controller in here. So now that we've created our function, we can go to close info terminal. And where is it? Close terminal function. And that will run every time we run the game, which we'll go ahead and test it real quick actually. I'm just going to do a quick save, and then I'll hit play, and then once you see the cursor start blinking, there you go, game's running, and we'll say close. Bam, totally works. Now what we need is when we hit the info terminal button here, we need that terminal to come back. Okay, pretty simple. So we'll go ahead and code that. Go back over to right monitor. All right, so now that this is done, we're going to go ahead and just hide this for just a second here. And let's see, so info terminal, we need, we could actually modify this group here. Interesting. Let's do that. So we're actually going to change this to, let me close and clean up all this crap here real quick. So we're actually going to change, let's see, open, close, info terminal. Copy that. And we have to change our script because now we've broken it. Okay, so now what we're going to do, let's see, we've got our close, and then we're just going to copy all this. Copy. And we're going to say open terminal. Then we can just set that to 1, this to true, oops, and this to true. Alternately, if you're impatient like I am, you can double click and highlight certain words, certain groups, etc., etc. Just something simple. So now that we've got that, what we can do is go back to our info terminal button here. It's already got our button script on here, so we just need to hit add, drag our same terminal controller in, go down to open close info terminal, and we're going to say open terminal. Okay. So now the game is in a state where we actually want it to be in. The info terminal is turned off, so when the game runs, the terminal, it'll look like this. So let's go ahead and run it. Okay, let's go ahead and test a few things. Our control terminal was, again, just the lights, so that should still work no matter what. And it doesn't. So we have a problem. So let's check our... Okay, I can already see what the problem is. See, this is what I was talking about. On the right side over here, we have canvas group. The alpha is turned off, but I forgot to set the interactable and blocks raycast to off. So we need to stop the game, turn those off, save the game, or save the project, I'm sorry, restart the game, and okay. So now we can click our button. That's a really good example of what I was talking about with the blocking raycast and the interactable option. So that other canvas is now essentially off and gone. So that works still. Our lights are on and off. Now our info terminal, we should hit this and we should get our, bam, we got our information. Look at that, cursor's blinking. We've got our information in there, and we've got a little bit of background space over here. We can take this and shrink it down and add a border image around it if we wanted to. Let's see if the close works. We should still be able to, oh yeah, done and done. That's pretty easy. Let's do one more thing. So we're going to come back over here. We're going to turn this back on so we can see it. And we're actually going to shrink this down. Let's see if I can, just a wee bit. Okay, what size are we at? Okay, we're at 0.8, so let's do 0.8 raw. Okay. So what we're going to do, we have our background image here. We actually need an image above that, so we're going to do UI image right there. And why is it still not showing? Interesting. Okay. There we go. Hadn't gone far enough. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. Alright, so there is our terminal background, and I think I have... Oh my gosh, so many assets that I've downloaded for this game. Let's see what we can find. Bunch of free stuff in here too, so... If you see any of these, credit to the creators, not to me. These are all in the asset store. Go get them. They're awesome. Let's see, let's try Square Pack. No, wait, that's fonts, isn't it? Let's try metal textures. I always start at the top. Let's start at the bottom. What is that? Hideous. Let's do it. Okay. Where's our image? Let's see. Is it going to let us do that? Probably not. Okay. So we're going to say duplicate. I don't know if it'll let us do this or not. Okay. I'm just going to do a duplicate test. We're going to change this to Sprite 2D and UI, so it'll work in our image here. Oops, apply. It's a little slow, I apologize. Okay, so now we can drag this in here. Oops. Drag it over here. And it looks hideous. Fantastic. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's see if we can find... let me think for a second. Let's see. 2D computer graphic. Singular, not plural. Okay. This isn't going to be what we want. Okay. Metal texture. Let's just do a general metal texture and this will be fine. Let's see. Free metal textures. Since everybody's watching, you're going to see where I get this from. So credit is freetexturex.com/metal textures. That looks good. Nice and crappy. Alright. So we're just going to do save as. We'll do it to desktop. Metal junky texture. Okay. Continue. Go away. Alright, so now we just need to go... Let's see. We're going to do images. And on another window, I'm just going to find that image I just downloaded. Drag it in there. Wait for 10 million years for Unity to know what's going on. What did I call it? Metal junkie something? Change it to 2D UI. Image. Yes, apply it. Oh my god. My god. Bam. That's pretty much it. So what we really actually want this to do is go full screen. There. So, I mean, obviously this isn't a good image for a terminal. I mean, let's be honest. We could actually even do one more. Give ourselves a little bit of style here. Give ourselves a frame. All right, and then we're gonna take our color. Let's dumb it down just a little bit here. What happens if we go a different color, maybe? We'll do really dark. And actually, we're going to expand this out a little bit. So I learned this trick from somebody, and I really apologize. I don't remember who I learned this from. But it's a very cheap, poor man's way of making a border around an image. And you take it and you make it just a little bit larger than the center image. There. And there. Okay, then we'll change this back to bright. Okay. Click away from it. So kind of looks like you got a little bit of a border, but not really, right? Super poor man's way of making a terminal, or a border around the terminal screen. So again, we're just going to load this up so we can see what it looks like when it's playing. Pretty damn good. Okay, and switch back over to the other monitor. We'll change our alpha back to 0, and then we'll run one final test, and we will be done. Turn over here. Okay, first of all, test our lights. That terminal still works. Info terminal, as junky as it looks, is right there. Got our blinking cursor, the quote-unquote animation for it, which is just basically a blink script. We've got our general information. This is a useless terminal. It's like, okay, I know everything I need to know about this. Okay, whatever. Close it. Turn off the lights. I'm leaving. Peace. We're done. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you have any questions. I kind of went through this a little bit faster than I probably should have, but I still ended up going about 20 minutes over the limit that I wanted to go. I was trying to keep this down to 30 minutes. But anyway, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, let me know. I know I went through the code a little fast, but it's pretty simple code. Let's be honest. It's not hard. I'm going to do some quick video editing on this, and I will get this uploaded, and you guys have a wonderful week. This is Nick with Xero-Technologies for the Desolate Star project.